The Balkan Peninsula is a landmass in southeastern Europe. It is home to some of the oldest countries on the continent. And with a significant recent rise in tourism, I wanted to see how well are the Balkans connected to the United States. The region over the past few years hasn't been as well connected globally as it was before, in terms of long-haul flights, specifically to the US. Back in the day, prominent Balkan carriers regularly flew to the US. Airlines such as Balkan Bulgarian Airlines, Olympic Airlines, Yacht Airways, and Tarom. To this day, 5 Balkan countries have direct flights to the US: Croatia, Serbia, Romania, Greece, and Turkey. Yet only 3 airlines from the Balkans operate such services: Air Serbia, Turkish Airlines, and High Sky Aero. Now let's take a deeper look into the situation and examine the current state of a few countries in particular. Bulgaria is the largest country in Europe with no regularly scheduled transcontinental or long-haul flights. Bulgaria is also the largest country in the Schengen area without direct service to the US. As I mentioned earlier, that wasn't always the case, as Bulgaria did have the famous Balkan Bulgarian Airlines, which flew to New York regularly. But can such a route be possible today? Well, Bulgaria has over 50 registered passenger commercial aircrafts, one of which is capable of flying transatlantic flights. However, only 10 of these aircrafts are actively scheduled on regular passenger services, mainly for the national carrier Bulgaria Air. But why so few? Well, in Bulgaria, over 80% of the aircrafts registered for Bulgarian Airlines are leased for chartering purposes, oftentimes for foreign airlines. This leaves Bulgaria very restricted in terms of planes, therefore leading to a relevantly poor network connection compared to other countries in the region. What do I mean by that? Well, in total, Bulgarian Airlines serve 21 airports: Croatian 34, Romanian 48, Serbian, Greek, and Turkish over 50. But back on the topic, can Bulgaria get long-haul flights? Well, the only regularly scheduled airline, Bulgaria Air, does not have aircrafts capable of flying such distances. Despite that, Bulgaria Air last year took an approach to modernize its fleet with brand new Airbus A220s. Moving on, the Bulgarian airline most associated with this issue is Gulf Air. Gulf Air is a relevantly new airline that surprised the country with its creation, acquiring 3 Airbus A330s-200, which are large-bodied aircrafts capable of flying transatlantic flights. And in 2021, Gulf Air had the second largest fleet of long-range aircraft in the Balkans, second only to Turkish Airlines. The airline announced its intentions to start long-haul flights to the US from Bulgaria, and even got certified. At that point, many media sources were already announcing direct flights between Bulgaria and the US. And as everything seemed at its climax in 2021, things went quiet. The airline stopped the regional Balkan routes it was operating on the ATR-42s and sold 2 of the Airbus A330-200s. Since then, there has been not a single word on the topic of the airline starting regularly scheduled services to the US. What's important to note is that Bulgaria has seen a significant surge in tourism. In an article from the New York Post, it was mentioned that Bulgaria was braced to become one of Europe's top summer destinations, with tourists in significant numbers coming from the US. Along with that, Bulgaria was just included in the Schengen region. So while no Bulgarian airline is gearing up to start such services soon, it is not impossible that a US or Canadian airline starts flying to the country. In the US, destinations such as New York, Chicago, and Miami could be key markets for a possible Bulgaria-US flight network. While in Canada, Toronto is a city that could have reasonable consideration. If you look at Croatia, the country has direct flights to both Canada and the US, all with foreign airlines, United flying from Newark, Air Transat to Toronto. So with transatlantic routes seemingly higher in demand than ever in Bulgaria, I believe the possibility of flying directly to Bulgaria from the US in the next 2 years is very high. Now let's take a look at Albania. Albania is also a country with notable tourism levels in recent years. Some sources pointing to the country as one of the largest unserved markets from the US. A problem in Albania's aviation industry is the lack of a strong national carrier. If we take a look at the chart from earlier, Albania falls behind Bulgaria in terms of airports handled, with just 8. Because of that, much of the routes to and from Albania are handled on foreign, low-cost carriers. However, Albania might be the closest country to start services to the US from the Balkans. In recent times, US airlines have eyed Tirana as a possible new destination given the large demand. Albanian Times noted that the Albanian Prime Minister hinted on negotiations for creation of a possible route between TIA and JFK with Delta Airlines. At the time of the production of this video, such a route has not been announced. But what other destinations in the US could be of interest? Well, the US has a large Albanian population in Michigan, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, meaning that a route Detroit-Tirana or Boston-Tirana could one day appear. Either way, once a route starts getting rumored from industry-leading airlines, it's only up to a short time that it gets announced. Now this next country, prior to the spring, would have fallen in the same category as Albania and Bulgaria, countries without direct flights to the US. I'm talking about Romania. In the early spring, it was announced that Romanian carrier High Sky Aero would start direct flights from Bucharest to New York. Now it's very important that we talk about this because Romania is a perfect example of how transatlantic flights can be retrieved after a decade-long absence. But how? How do you have a new airline accomplish something many airlines couldn't? Well, to get the most accurate answers, I directed my questions straight to the airline. According to what High Sky Aero told NA Aviation, the route OTP to JFK took 1 year of deliberate planning to officialize. The airline also reported that it has seen strong interest in the route that runs year-long. The airline uses an Airbus A330-200 for this route. But there are obstacles, and here's what the airline told us exclusively. While many passengers are eager to travel, we acknowledge that not everyone has a US visa yet. However, we are optimistic that Romania will soon join the visa waiver program, allowing Romanians to travel to the US without a visa, using our direct flights. Soon after, High Sky Aero announced a few more winter long-haul destinations added to their network. Romania also just joined the Schengen region, which is by far a step in the right direction for the country's aviation industry. So examining these 3 countries, we all noticed 3 different situations. But one factor was common for all. It is possible. With the right resources and collective efforts, direct flights to the US could be introduced. As for other Balkan countries, Air Serbia seems to be at its peak in terms of long-haul offerings. Turkish Airlines has become one of the leading airlines in the world, and Greece has seen one of the largest transatlantic offerings in history. Overall, it seems that as of now, tourism is the one thing all these countries in the region are holding on to. In result, the Balkans have become one of the richest regions in opportunities in the aviation industry. And as it seems for some countries, things are just getting started.